Welcome back to race 10 of 36, where today on the NASCAR Thunder 2004 custom season, we will be at the Talladega Superspeedway for the running of the Ariens 499. Last week at Richmond, Dale Earnhardt Jr. won the Pontiac Excitement 400 under caution, but today we go to the biggest track in NASCAR, arguably the biggest equalizer in the sport, Talladega Superspeedway, 2.66 miles long. Restrictor plates allow drivers to run in big groups. However, the smaller fuel cells, while they weren't a problem in the Daytona 500, could make for some interesting pit strategy here. Let's go trackside.
The NASCAR Winston Cup Series visits the famous Talladega Superspeedway today for the Ariens 499. This is Joe Moore and Barney Hall for MRN, and we're live to bring you all the action. And Barney, this track always manages to produce some white-knuckle moments.
Let me sum it up for you all. 2.6 miles, 4 lanes, 190 miles an hour. Just doesn't get much better. Let's just hope these guys can stay out of the big one.
The 64 car always finds a way to qualify up front at the superspeedways.
Well, you can't win if you don't finish, and the best way to finish is to start up front and stay there all race long.
Sterling Marlin really knows his way around these restrictor plate racetracks, doesn't he, Barney?
You're right about that. 5 of his first 6 wins were at Daytona and Talladega, and he's had a bunch of poles here as well. He knows how to maneuver around in the pack and always seems to find a way to get to the front.
Bernie Sadler is having some trouble in the points this year.
And, of course, nobody wants to be on the bottom of that points list. You'll have to work extra hard to pick up spots. Not an easy task to dig yourself out of a hole in this series.
Your money.
Here's the starting lineup.
In the front row are the Home Depot Chevrolet and the 21 car. In the second row are the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet and the Rubbermaid Sharpie Ford. The 64 car, this season's point leader, will be starting from the 5th place. In row 4 are the Team Rusty Dodge and the UPS Ford. Rounding out the top 10 starting spots are the Tide Pontiac and the 40 car. The 6th row has the Pfizer Ford and the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge. In row 7 are the Lowe Chevrolet and the Dale Jr. Chevrolet. Starting the race from row 8 are the Interstate Battery Chevrolet and the DeWalt Power Tools Ford. And in row 9 are the DuPont Chevrolet and the Stacker 2 Dodge. Starting in row 10 will be the GM Goodrich Chevrolet and the Kodak Maxville Pontiac. In row 11 are the Caterpillar Dodge and the UAW Delphi Chevrolet. In row 12 are the U.S. Army Pontiac and the Denville Chevrolet. Row 13 finds the Granger Ford and the Singular Wireless Chevrolet. The 14th row has the 11 car and the BAM Racing Dodge. In row 15 are the Net Zero Pontiac and the Dodge Dealers UAW Dodge. Starting the race from row 16 are the Cheerios Dodge and the Target Dodge. Row 17 has the Civil Air Patrol Chevrolet and the Citgo Ford. Starting at row 18 will be the 42 car and the America Online Chevrolet. In row 19 are the 45 car and the Kellogg Chevrolet. In row 20 are the Valvoline Pontiac and the Autobahn Ford. Back in row 21, we have the M&M's Ford and the O2 car. And rounding out the field is the 57 car.
Powering on. Paired.
Hello, Cheat Day. Goodbye, Gil. What's up? Cherry Limeade and White Gummy Bear. 2 new flavors from Brain with natural caffeine, electrolytes, BCAAs, sugar, 0. New Brain Cherry Limeade and White Gummy Bear. A total body fuel times 2.
Time to play the game.
It is time to play the game here at Talladega Super Speedway for race 1036. As we begin the last few laps of drivers running at pace car speeds, anything can happen. It's all about the game and
It's all about the
how you
game.
play it and
And how you
win
play it.
today's
It's all
race.
about control. And if you can take it, it's all about your stand. If you can play it, it's all
It could
about
be
me.
a big name
Who's
driver
gonna
like
make
Jimmy
it?
Johnson and
I
Jeff
am the
Gordon
game.
moving
You
to victory
don't
lane.
play me. I am control.
It could be
The way
Kevin
you
Harvick
can take me. I am
continuing
heavy.
Richard
That's the way
Childress'
you can
successful
take me.
legacy
I know
at
you
Daytona
can
and
take
Talladega.
me over your shoulder.
It could be a guy like Mike Skinner possibly punching his ticket into the playoffs. Or it could be a complete shock out of nowhere with Jack Sprague going to victory lane. My friends, we got 47 laps. Enjoy some Motorhead before we go racing.
Time to play the game. It's all about the game. And how you play it, it's all about control. And if you can take it, it's all about your depth. And if you can pay it, it's all about the pain. Who's gonna make it? I am the game. You don't wanna play me. I am control. There's no way you can shake me. I am your daddy, and no you can't pay me. I am your pain, and I know you can't take me. Play the game, you're gonna be the same. You're gonna change your name. You're gonna die and play it.
Who will play the game the best today at Talladega? Tony Stewart on the pole, Ricky Rudd to his outside. Last week's winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr., starting near the middle of the pack. Pace car is off, 47 laps. We are racing at Talladega. You can already see proof as to why Dylan Murray is always a strong contender at these restrictor plate tracks. Look at the push that he gave to the 15 of Michael Waltrip to get him to the front here, and honestly gap him by probably a few seconds, as you already see 5 cars breaking away, getting to the line. Tony Stewart will lead the first lap with a huge shove from the 15 of Waltrip. Another thing we talked about in the pre-race earlier today, if you have the 2 DEI tandems, obviously you get those 2 together, good luck trying to stop them. But if you get Dylan Murray behind probably anybody, that'll be your best chance. You just see Rusty Wallace and Dylan Murray looks like they might be working together. See Dylan Murray maybe trying to squeeze in line behind the 18. Rusty Wallace will let him in. And we'll see what they do going to the front. Friends at Daytona and Talladega are pretty essential. About as essential as Amazon delivery to some people. The more friends you have, there's a good chance you might get somebody that's willing to work with you. There's a good chance you might get somebody that might push you to the front. But there's also a good chance that when it comes down to it, the final few laps, it's pretty much every man for himself. If you got the run and you got the momentum, there's a good chance your partner might betray you. That's the beauty of these kinds of tracks. Is you already got 4 cars breaking away and the rest of the field splitting into individual packs. You got a group of 4 led by Tony Stewart, obviously. Well, it's not really a tandem. And Stewart is currently doing some pretty good lane control. Waltrip has worked pretty well with him. And it looks like Waltrip's going to go to the inside with a push from Wallace. And probably an even bigger push from the 64 Dylan Murray. The second group obviously is being led by the 18 car of Bobby Labonte, doing a pretty solid job controlling the line. And you got to admit, Dylan's doing a pretty solid job giving a little bit of help. And as a reward, Dylan may have just gotten a slingshot boost almost past Rusty, but can't quite complete the pass. But Dylan can't quite complete the pass here. Dylan Murray trying to tuck in behind Rusty Wallace. Or at least hopefully try not to. Or hopefully try not to hit him at least. And Dylan Murray continues to give a big shove as Michael Waltrip has taken the lead. Which, if you've seen the past 2 years at these restrictor plate tracks, that's always a fun sight to see, to have a DEI car out front. As looks like Gibbs' teammates are pairing up. Tony Stewart in the 20, Bobby Labonte in the 18. And you got the Daytona 500 winner Kurt Busch closing up. Looks like he's also following Dylan Murray, who's got a pretty solid motor under his car. If I say so myself. You already can see the amount of fuel that Dylan Murray has burned with these here at Daytona and Talladega. They have 13-gallon fuel cells, which can make for crazy fuel strategy, but may also increase the likelihood for the big wreck, because especially if you're in a pack and you're in a large group and a car runs out of fuel, that could cause a big problem. Tony Stewart is the leader. Bobby Labonte is in second with a push from Michael Waltrip. Meanwhile, on the inside, it looks like we got 2 Fords even. You got Kurt Busch and Dale Jarrett on the inside of this group, with Matt Kenseth a little further back. And you got Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin, who have broken away from Kurt Busch as the inside line of this group gets very disorganized. And it looks like Jeff Gordon is at the tail end of that pack. Oh, contact. Big stack up, and we got more problems. Ricky Rudd tried to force his way inside Dylan Murray on a bad block. Luckily, Ricky Rudd does get out of the gas, but that could have been big. Really, really big. 8 laps complete in the Aaron's 499. Dylan Murway has made minimal progress. He tried working with Michael Waltrip, pushing him to the front. He worked with Rusty Wallace and pushed him inside the top 5. Since then, it seems like he might be skating back, and that's the problem. You're by yourself. You're barely topping 180 miles an hour, but if you're in a group, you can easily top 190, 195. In fact, the practice session yesterday, I saw drivers almost get to 200 or 203 as the fastest reported time.
Okay, buddy, we're faster than the leader. Let's get out there.
Got cars heading to pit road, or a few of them. The pit lane looks like, remember, we do have the smaller fuel cells, so strategy may come into play here in this set of green flag stops. There you see the first wave of cars coming off pit road. Fittipaldi in the 43, Nadeau in the 01, and probably Kenseth in the 17.
Coming up on car section, pit road. Car inside. All clear, buddy.
And we see more cars get back in line now. Out front, by the way, Michael Waltrip has taken the lead with the push of the 2 Joe Gibbs cars behind him. And Dylan Murway is going to try working with the lap car, Sterling Marlin. You can see all the momentum and the push that Dylan got just gave the 40 of Sterling Marlin. You see, probably the biggest almost requirement here at these types of tracks where the restricted engine package comes into play is drafting and how much of a run can you get. As you saw briefly a few moments ago, once Dylan Murway got behind the 40 of Sterling Marlin, those two just flew right by Rudd like he was standing still.
Check your fuel gauge.
And then you got 2 more cars. You got Dale Jarrett and Kurt Busch trying to link up. In fact, with the speed that Murway is giving the 40th Sterling Marlin, they might actually catch him here, and pass him probably by turn 2.
Normally, you'd see him block right about now. 49, 83. Catching up to the leader.
Until Kurt Busch shuts the momentum and forces Marlin to get out of the gas. Kurt Busch trying to get by Jarrett in the 97. Remember, Kurt Busch won the Daytona 500 earlier this year. Dylan Murway almost had him at the line, but Kurt Busch edged him out on the last lap on a slingshot move.
You put another behind. Okay, we're clear.
Got 1 car slow further back,
I guess a little respect pays off.
and might be just the case of losing the draft.
He's one of your friends out there. 1564.
And out front, it looks like the 18 of Bobby Labonte is your new race leader.
And now, are you going to be out of gas?
By the looks of it. And Dylan Murway is going to get right behind that 40 car and just fly by the Daytona 500 winner, Kurt Busch. Remember, if you do win the Daytona 500, when you get to Talladega, you can't just bring your 500 car there because they store your car at Daytona USA for a year. So when the new Daytona 500 comes around, at the beginning of next season, the winning team will be presented with their new car, which has been a tradition that has essentially been around since the beginning. Granted, Sterling Marlin wasn't for position, but Dylan Murway being seemingly probably one of the best pushers we have, that other than the two DEI cars and maybe Tony Stewart, Dylan Murway pushing Marlin the way he has actually helped him save a little bit of fuel till now. Anyway, Dylan Murway coming to pit road as far back as he has. Kind of shocking. Getting the first round, his green flag stop. Cars to pit road. Clean stop here. Dylan Murway comes out in 16th with Jeff Gordon, who joined pit road, who got on to pit road a little after Dylan Murway did, as more cars are heading down pit lane. Dylan Murway tucked in behind Dale Jarrett, Sadler's teammate. Kurt Busch has not pitted yet, as he flies by Dale Jarrett like he's standing still. Dale Jarrett and Dylan Murway. Also, another thing, too, with the draft, just because the faster car in line flies by, that's also because Jarrett and Murway haven't had that momentum come in yet. Of course, coming to the line, that'll probably change.
Number 6, now left.
Dylan Murway is basically shoving Dale Jarrett into turn 3.
Just hold your line. He's starting to feel comfortable racing with you.
See how much time Dylan and Jarrett can make up. Ricky Craven has made his way back onto the racetrack. And by doing that is you're going to need drafting partners and friends. Lots and lots of friends. Dylan Murway is basically flying by Tony Stewart all while pushing Dale Jarrett. So it's an interesting dynamic here. As you got Rusty Wallace and Bobby Labonte out front. Michael Waltrip is in third. In fact, the way how fast these guys are pushing, essentially, I think Jarrett and Murway could get to the front in the next 4 or 5 laps at least. Dylan Murway pushing Dale Jarrett. Waltrip goes wide. He's going to get by him. And here's what Jarrett does if he can fit the gap, maybe. No, Jarrett closes in and kicks. And Dylan barely squeezes behind Waltrip and is able to basically kick Dale Jarrett out. And we'll see what Dylan Murway does with Waltrip in the 15. As we go on board, look at how tight Dylan Murway is basically hooking himself up to the back of Waltrip. you've seen the leaders basically have split off into tandems, or organized tandems for the most part, while you got maybe a handful of cars running by themselves, and then you got big pack after big pack after big pack. Bobby Labonte has tried to get by the two of Rusty Wallace. Tucks back in line. Labonte looks low again. Here comes Dylan Murway to push Labonte to the point, and he's going to do just that. You got a new leader at Talladega. How about this? Dylan Murway there's always been a reputation that Dylan Murway can get a little aggressive at short tracks, but at places like this, Daytona, Talladega, and some of the bigger tracks, he's a great pusher. Not a lot of people really put him as the favorite to win because you obviously got the two DEI cars to deal with. But with the Richard Childers program under restricted plate program under Dylan Murway's team out in Colorado, that could probably turn him into the biggest force to rival DEI, if you will. Dylan Murway is laying it to the 18 of Bobby Labonte. My goodness. He basically pushed him all the way into Thursday night at Darlington at this point, with how fast those two are going. They're almost 190. With the speed, and almost 2 seconds. Bobby Labonte almost has a 2-second lead over the 15 of Waltrip. Dylan can't quite clear Labonte there, but he doesn't, because it doesn't have enough momentum. Dylan will fall back in line behind the 18. And just like that, it looks like Dylan will pass the 18 and come right in front of him. All he's got to do is try to keep Labonte lined up. How about a Talladega style crank it up? Looks like we've got another almost three-car tandem here, and new dancing partners. This time, Bobby Labonte is getting a push from the 15 of Waltrip, and Rusty Wallace is lined up behind the 64 Dylan Murway. Dylan Murway trying to squeeze in front of Labonte. Doesn't have enough of a push from the 2 of Rusty Wallace. However, as Dylan Murway gets away from Waltrip and goes right back to his original pushing partner. Let's listen to what Bobby Labonte had to say on the radio about being pushed to the front as fast as he was. Holy crap, that 64, Michael, he's got a heck of a bumper, I'll give you that. Heck of a bumper. Might want to maybe clean the rear bumper because of all the black paint that's on it. Yeah, that's a sign that these kinds of tracks you're doing a good job, but the pusher also needs to know when to let off because you kind of saw at the start-finish line, Bobby Labonte kind of got chased down the track because Dylan Murway was laying it to him as far as hard as he was. But hey, if you got a good team, run with it. Anyways, here's a race summary. Up to this point, Bobby Labonte is your leader. Dylan Murway is second. Michael Waltrip third. Rusty Wallace fourth. Dale Jarrett fifth. Tony Stewart sixth. Kurt Busch seventh. Mark Martin eighth. Jeff Gordon in ninth. And Jimmy Johnson rounds out the top 10. Looking through the rest of the pack, solid run for Kevin Harvick today in 12th. Ryan Newman, Jeremy Mayfield with a good run. Texas winner Ward Burton running 15th. Robbie Gordon running 17th. Earnhardt Jr. kind of surprising. Might be complaining a little bit about how tight his car is. Hopefully they'll look at that on the next stop. Kenny Wallace rounds out the top 20. We look down through the rest of the pack. Sadler 25th. Biffle 28th. Nemechek 29th. Obviously, Sterling Marlin came out of pit road just a few moments ago. Same with Ricky Rudd. So they're a lap down towards the bottom of the sheet. And Christian Fittipaldi is the only driver who has retired from this race. Ugh. Bobby Labonte is still your race leader. Got pushed out to a pretty solid lead as Dylan will close big on that 18 bumper. As Dylan Murway is almost out of gas, so we'll probably expect him and Labonte. Hopefully they pit together. Curious how the pit strategy is going to work between these two. Coming through 3 and 4. So far, it looks like they'll stay out here on this lap, but you got some slower cars at the back of the pack. You got one car looking like they're heading towards turn 1 now, and it looks like Dylan Murway's got 1 gallon to make it to pit road. Question is, will he be able to do it? Half a gallon, a little under half a gallon now. Does he have the fuel? And he's basically running on fumes now. And will Labonte pit? Looks like they will. Oh, no, he stays out. Labonte stays in. Dylan almost speeds. And barely gets on the pit road at probably at the nick of time. Almost. First green flag stop. Dylan Murway down there by himself. Had to come in because otherwise he would have ran out. another fast stop for Dylan Murway as he heads back onto the racetrack, this time in 26th.
Nobody's coming. You're clear. Say that like this. There's some leaders coming.
Cars heading to pit road now. And about half, a good majority of the field is on pit road, so Dylan Murway did pit a lap before because his fuel tank was thirsty. So hopefully he'll meet up with drafting partner Bobby Labonte again, as we have reached 18 laps to go in the Aaron's 499 in the middle of green flag stops. Rusty Wallace is your current leader. Michael Waltrip did pit without him. Dylan Murway did, unfortunately, tried to pit with the 18 Labonte. However, Labonte stayed out an extra lap trying to see how far the fuel could take.
You usually see him on here. I guess you guys are friendly out there. The 18 car is looking left. You're clear.
Here with 18 laps to go in the Aaron's 499. By the way, next Thursday we will be at Darlington Raceway for the running of the Essential Workers 400 on a Thursday night. First time we've seen Darlington go under the lights. If last year's finish was proof of anything, we're in for quite a show, to say the least. Emphasis on show. Because, oh boy. With Matt Kenseth being last year's winner of the Darlington 400, the race was renamed the Essential Workers 400, obviously honoring the millions of essential workers who have stayed in, myself included, who have fought through the past year of the coronavirus pandemic. The Essential Workers 400 will feature a silent salute on lap 12, going until lap 17, honoring those who have lost their lives in the coronavirus pandemic. There will also be a pre-race concert featuring Simple Man by Shinedown before the race will take place. So that's the plans for Thursday night at Darlington. So, oh God. Dylan Murway with a pretty healthy gap over the 18 of Bobby Labonte, as unfortunately Bobby Labonte pitted a lap later, so it's kind of hard for those two to pit together. Got one car on pit road, and at this point the rest of the field just running by themselves as Labonte has closed in pretty fast on Dylan Murway. Really kind of surprising we haven't gone this long without a wreck. I mean, we had 9 cautions a couple weeks ago at Martinsville. We had 4 at Richmond last Friday night and early Saturday morning. And to think that race got done 15 minutes before the 2 a.m. noise curfew. That's nuts. By the way, Bobby Labonte has got a rocket ship under that Chevrolet. That Interstate Battery Chevrolet. And Dylan Murway being paired up with him. Could we see those two work together to the finish? I think you might see the next tandem. I mean, Dylan Murway basically got Kurt Busch over in winning the Daytona 500. Could we see something similar with Bobby Labonte, who is not won at a restrictor plate track and historically has not done very well at these types of facilities at Daytona and Talladega? with obviously a notable race coming in the fall of 2001 where him, Dale Jr., and Bobby Hamilton were battling for the win. Bobby Hamilton was blocked by Bobby Labonte. Both cars got together, and that triggered a massive 18-car wreck that sent the 18 of Bobby Labonte upside down and gave Dale Jr. his first of multiple wins at the 2.6-mile facility. Jeff Gordon has made his way into the top 5, by the way. Jeff Gordon obviously has had a couple wins here. His most recent came in the April 2000 race, the Die Hard 500. So depending on if we get a caution, Gordon could be a fixture and could get a shot at winning this race. His best finish was second back at Atlanta. Depending on pit strategy, Gordon could also maybe win this race. Dylan Thorne continues to throw a block. All right, keep the 18 car behind him. So I thought it was Fittipaldi that was out of the race. There's another car down there as well, being parked on pit road. So we're at 11 laps to go in the Aaron's 499. Dylan Murway and Bobby Labonte have taken pretty big control of this race. And Murway is just doing everything in his power to keep the 18 car behind him. And Murway goes up and gives the lead to Bobby Labonte because he's clearly much faster. And Dylan, can he get there? Nope. Labonte leads this lap. Tony Stewart has made his way into the top 5.
Still beside you.
11 to go. Murway trying to tuck in, maybe behind Labonte to get himself to the lap car all the way in front in turn 3. Probably the only major thing that happened was a big stack up early on in this race. Ricky Rudd, Ryan Newman, and Dylan Murway got into each other because Murway was trying to cover up the position with Ricky Rudd behind him. As Dylan Murway is basically continuing to push Bobby Labonte down as they're trying to save fuel on the outside because I think they have a feeling things may get a little nutty. And Murway to the lead. He gets Labonte loose coming down the back stretch. And Murway flies by Labonte like he's standing still with 9 laps to go. See the 60 car, Stanton Barrett up ahead. He is a lap down. He's well off the pace. Going to be interesting to see how the leaders get by him. Rusty Wallace has been funneled out of the top 5. Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon are 4th and 5th. Depending on if there's a yellow, those two could probably make it into the top 5. Stanton Bear with a big block. And there it is. Barrett around. And looks like it's a single car incident. Oh, looks like Stanton Barrett got hammered. Wow. As got another car slung up. That's Ken Schrader. Schrader's out of fuel. Several cars out of fuel up ahead. It looks like Skinner is one of them. Labonte had to really get out of the gas there. So Stanton Barrett spins to bring out the first yellow late in this race. And it looks like it might have been a single car incident. And Dylan Murway is going to come to pit road. Murway pits, Marlins, Waltrip, Labonte, and Gordon stay out. Really odd to see this. Murway and Marlin have come down pit road together. They're the only cars. They're out first. That might make for a pretty chaotic restart. Murway came in the leader, comes out 29th. So I think there might be a wreck here. 6 to go. Or 5 to go at this point. Oh boy. This could make for interesting Dale Sr. type run to the finish. Ashton Lewis throwing a block. Oh, Biffle gets into him. Dylan into the wall. They stay straight. Somehow they continue to bottle up behind. Is out front. It is Michael Waltrip and Jeff Gordon who have kicked Bobby Labonte out of the lead. 4 to go. Do the leaders have enough fuel? Dylan Murway continuing to basically ride around after Greg Biffle doored him in turn 3. Kind of surprised we haven't seen drivers down pit road. I think everybody else might have been good. Dylan took a gamble. He was low. He was banking on at least one more yellow. I think that gamble may have bit him. 3 laps to go. Jeff Gordon has taken the lead from Michael Waltrip with Dale Jarrett in second. And they got 3 laps. Got cars heading to pit road now. Looks like they may not have been good enough on fuel. So this might make for an interesting couple of laps. Waltrip down pit road. Another car down there. Couldn't tell who that was. 2 to go. Might have been Nadu down there. Is the other car. Down the backstretch, Jarrett has taken the lead from Gordon. And Kurt Busch is out of fuel. And I think that might not have been it. It for Busch, as it looks like Burton might be almost out of gas. Could make for an interesting final lap. looks like we got several cars slowing up on the inside. And they're checking up big. Burton gets back to full power. Labonte's out of gas. Kenseth might be out of gas. Ashton Lewis, Jeff Green, and Ashton Lewis, it's into the wall. And there it is. Several cars out of gas. Multiple drivers out of fuel. Dylan Murway went from 29th to 5th in 4 laps as the fuel gamble didn't pay off. Sadler gets spun in turn 4. Pretty much everybody is out of fuel. Rusty Wallace has won the Aaron's 499 at Talladega.
The yellow didn't wave as much as usual. Well, I can assure you all those guys who finished in the back would like to have seen more cautions. Gives them a chance to make adjustments without the penalty of going a lap down. They just didn't have that luxury this time.
The 64 car got into some trouble and did some damage to his car.
Yeah, you can't expect a good
See there, Murway, Nemechek, and Sadler get together. Nemechek saves it. Sadler ultimately does not.
The 64 car now has one less friend in the garage area.
Well, when you're out there beating and banging on guys, some feathers are bound to get ruffled. Maybe after some time to cool off, they'll be back to racing in clear heads.
So Rusty Wallace plays the fuel game pretty well.
Next up is Darlington.
And wins the Aaron's 499. Rusty Wallace wins today at Talladega. Bill Elliott will end up finishing second. Mark Martin finishes third. Kevin Harvick finishes fourth. Dylan Murway finishes fifth. Earnhardt Jr. finishes sixth. Casey Mears finishes seventh. Ricky Craven finishes eighth. Tony Stewart finishes ninth. And Steve Park will round out the top 10. Jeff Gordon ends up 11th. Greg Biffle 12th. Dale Jarrett 13th. Ryan Newman 14th. Ward Burton 15th. Then Marlin, Benson, Mayfield, Nadeau, Labonte ran out the top 20. Matt Kenseth ran out of fuel, was one of the drivers that ran out, ends up 22nd. As we look through the rest of the field, Ricky Rudd ends up with a terrible performance after starting outside pole next to Stewart. Ends up finishing 27th. Waltrip, 31st. Jimmy Johnson, 32nd. Wow. And then we look down the sheet. Sadler, unfortunately, after that spin, ends up 35th. Bobby Labonte was led pretty much a good majority of the second half of this race. Ends up 36th. Kurt Busch, 37th. Wow. Kyle Petty and Christian Fittipaldi, even worse day for if you're a Richard Petty fan. Both of your cars finished at the bottom of the running order. So, see you Thursday night for the Essential Workers 400. God. It's not hot. It's creepy as hell. All right, so Rusty Wallace has punched his ticket in the NASCAR playoffs after going winless in 2002. So that just closes the gap even further. Dylan Murway is still your regular season champion, by the way. Look through the sheet here. So, Tony Stewart won the pole. Bobby Labonte led the most laps. Steve Park passed the most cars. Dylan Murway had the quickest lap. Dylan Murway was the best rookie. and Steve Park made the best pass of the race. Dylan Murway continues to choke everybody in the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year. And Dylan Murway and Earnhardt Jr. have the most pulls this season. Chevrolet has an 11-point lead over Dodge now in the Manufacturer Championship. Obviously with Dodge's 2 wins, one of which was a surprising one at Texas. And the EA Sports Lap Champion Award continues to be virtually manhandled by Dylan Murway. So see you Thursday night for the Essential Workers 400 at Darlington Raceway.